I do not think that this is actually a scandal. Like people are calling it a scandal. It's not a scandal. It is a misstep at best. And other things that people are considering missteps are President Trump's tariff policies. So President Trump did announce some new tariffs on the automakers. I'm about to pull that info up right now, where basically he wants to use as many. He wants to have as many of the cars out in the United States to be made and built here in the United States, and so he is putting a 25% tariff, according to AP, on cars that are being imported. President Donald Trump said that he's placing a 25% tariffs on auto imports, a move the White House claims would foster domestic manufacturing, but would also put financial squeeze on automakers that depend on global supply chains. This will continue to spur growth, Trump told reporters on Wednesdays. Will effectively be charging a 25% tariff. And so the hard part about this is even a lot of cars are ultimately put together here in the United States, but parts come from Japan, Mexico, Canada. Parts of them will be assembled in other countries and then imported here. And so it's adding more and more to the bottom line of the car. What Trump is hoping that this will do is it will get people to start buying American-made cars. And this is a pretty big move for Trump to be able to try to get manufacturing jobs back into the United States. Now, one of the big things that Trump promised was to bring manufacturing back to the United States. And this is one step in being able to do that, because now Ford might say, hey, you know what? It might be time for us to open a plant back up in Michigan or up in Indiana and start building these vehicles back here in the United States and try to find well-sourced and inexpensive parts that we can develop and build here in the United States to avoid this 25% tariff. The hard part right now is that in the immediate future, in the immediate next couple of months to year, as the big companies start to pivot on this, is it's going to make things harder for people who just want to buy an inexpensive car. And so that might give a little bit of a boost to like the used car market or private sale of vehicles, because cars that were purchased before this tariff goes into effect obviously isn't going to pay that extra tariff, the extra tax on top of it. Shares in General Motor tumbled roughly 7% on Thursday. Ford stock fell 4%, while shares in Stellantis, which owns Jeep and Chrysler, dropped about 1.25%. But the stock prices of electric car maker Tesla and Rivian were up. So I believe both those cars are pretty much 100% made in the United States, to my understanding of this. So I'm generally curious to see how this is actually going to play into effect. I wonder, because the one thing that the Trump administration does really well with tariffs is they use it as a way to say, hey, you know what, this is what we are going to do unless you give us X, Y, and Z. So I'm wondering if there is an actual compromise that can be made by the big manufacturing companies to be able, or even some of the foreign importers, to be able to make this a very short-term, short-lived tariff on vehicles. I don't see this being something that I don't see this being something that's going to stick around longer than a deal being made, because that's what President Trump wants to do. He wants to make a deal. He wants to make this an easy deal for the United States. He wants to make it a big deal for the United States, which is nice. And that's actually something that I think is big. I think if President Trump is able to get a deal done with the automakers and get more investment, like Hyundai, which is a Japanese or Korean car manufacturer, has announced that they are opening a plant here in the United States. They're going to hire 8,500 people to work in this plant. So that is a good first step. And I'm excited to see kind of what that next plan looks like for the tariffs and for what's going on here in the United States. And if you want to hear more conversation like this, want to be involved in the conversation, be sure to leave a comment down below, subscribe to this channel, share this with a friend who might want to hear these headlines discussed in a way that's a little bit more casual, less formal than the mainstream news. My name is Jim J. This is The Rant. We have more to talk about here in just a second.